All right, folks, I need y'all to stop what you're doing and listen up. You know I love this time of year, right? The NBA playoffs! The NBA playoffs! Yeah, it's here. And with all this action going on, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you take advantage of it all. That's why we've partnered with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is easy to use. Just pick more or less than a few player stats, and you can win up to 2,000 times your cash on a single lineup. Let me repeat that, okay? That's 2,000 times the payout. That's what just dropped. So build your lineup, lock it in, and win up to 2,000 times your cash. The rewards have never been this big. Best of all, PrizePicks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. So use promo code SAS and download the app now, please. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, hey, run your game. Today, I'll give you my picks for Saturday's game between my beloved New York Knicks and, of course, the Detroit Pistons. So let's get right to it. First up, will Jaylen Brunson of the New York Knicks score more or less than 27 points? I'm going with more because he's Jaylen Brunson and it's the playoffs. I don't need another damn excuse. Did you see him last year? Then you know what I'm talking about. Next up, will Cade Cunningham of the Pistons score more or less than 27.5 points? You know why I got to say more on this too, y'all? Because the brother averaged 30 against the New York Knicks this year. 30! They're going to push the ball. New York Knicks going to try to slow the tempo, but not. Bottom line is they're going to get ample opportunities at the baskets. This brother's got the green light to shoot. He's going to. So I ain't say he's going to have a high shooting percentage, but he's definitely going to score more than 27.5 points. I believe that. Next up, will Karl-Anthony Towns score more or less than 23 points? I'm going with more because Karl-Anthony Towns has been an all-star offensively for the New York Knicks this year, all-star period. I'm worried about him being the rough rider that he needs to be in order to offset Detroit trying to emulate the bad boy Pistons of old coming at the New York Knicks. Karl-Anthony Towns going to have to show up. I believe he will. Next up, will Detroit's Tobias Harris score more or less than 13.5 points? This was tricky because sometimes he's deferential and lacking aggression. That's one of the things that plagued him throughout his years in Philadelphia, in my personal opinion. But the brother is gifted. He could score more than 13.5 points, so I'm going to go more with this too. Next up, will Mikal Bridges score more or less than 16.5 points? You better. That's why I'm going with more. You better. Complaining about playing too much. Complaining about the bench being utilized a little bit more. Coming in there the last game of the season for 6 seconds just to ensure that you played all 82 games, which I didn't mind, by the way. But you got to go out there and score more than 16.5 points if you're Mikal Bridges. And I believe he will. And finally, will Malik Beasley score more or less than 14.5 points? Have you seen this brother shoot the basketball this year? Have you seen the green light Beasley had? Have you seen how he's been putting it up in bunches? Malik Beasley's been special this year, ladies and gentlemen. He's been special. And because of that, I'm going to say more for him too. So Jaylen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Karl-Anthony Towns, Tobias Harris, Mikal Bridges, Malik Beasley. Oh, more. That's what we're going with. Why? Because it's PrizePicks. We're allergic to the word less. You feel me? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I'm not going to waste your time. I got a lot to get into today, and the first thing on my mind is going to be the NBA playoff picture. That's where we're getting started, and the updated matchups in both conferences now after the first play-in games from last night. In the Eastern Conference, the Orlando Magic are in the 7th spot after beating the Atlanta Hawks. They'll play the Boston Celtics, the reigning defending champion Boston Celtics, who are the number 2 seed, in case y'all were living under a rock, of course. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat face the Bulls tonight in Chicago for the right to play the Hawks on Friday. Whoever wins Friday's game will be the 8th seed and will face the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. Good luck with that, by the way. In the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors are now the 7th seed after beating the Memphis Grizzlies last night. They'll play the Houston Rockets, who are the number 2 seed, but are underdogs in their first round matchup against the Warriors. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks face the Sacramento Kings tonight. The winner of that game will play the Grizzlies on Friday for the right to play the top-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder before they are unceremoniously sent home. Joining me now to break this all down is my partner in crime, NBA Countdown, my brother, contributor to First Take, Get Up, and all things ESPN, doing an outstanding job, and I'm one of the few people in the world he absolutely loves and can make him smile. The one and only Kendrick Perkins is in the house. house. What's going on, big boy? How you doing, man? How's everything?
Big bro, what's happening?
All right, talk to me, man. First of all, let's get right started with the Warriors and the Grizzlies last night. Watching that game, are you of the mindset now that the Warriors are in a position to make a run for the conference finals?
I'm not. And here's why I say, think about this. 80% of the points had to come from Jimmy and Steph Curry last night. They played a lot of minutes. They can't stand that playing against a young athletic Rockets team who, by the way, have more pesky defenders than the Memphis Grizzlies. And so I'm looking at this situation and I'm saying it took a lot out of them out of Jimmy and Steph. Look at those numbers to even get that victory. Now you're going against a Ime Udoka-led team that thrive on playing defense at the highest level, one of the best defensive teams. And you're going to go in and say that I'm going to rely on those two guys in the 7-game series that is going to be physical. They need a third option. And here's what I want to ask you. What the hell is going on with Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga? I
don't know. I mean, listen, Kuminga, let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this about Kuminga. He's averaging more points against the Rockets than anybody else on the Warriors. 21.3. I don't understand. He's arguably the most athletic guy on the Golden State Warriors. I don't understand how the hell this dude is I don't want to say street clothes because he had on a sweatsuit, a Warriors sweatsuit, but he clearly wasn't dressed to play. And Steve Kerr, as far as I'm concerned, pulled a Jason Tatum on him, telling them, yo, before the game, we ain't going to find any time for you. What sense does that make, Perk?
It makes no sense. And here's the add-on to what you're saying. This is a young man that is in his contract year. So now, if Steve Kerr does decide to go to him, which I believe he needs to in order for Golden State to even have a chance of winning this series against the Rockets, how do he bounce back from this, right? Like, now you're testing this young man mental toughness, which I think Jonathan Kuminga is really mentally tough, but he's in his contract year. And as a former player, which Steve Kerr was, you should understand that. And it's like this ego of once he gets stuck in his ways, this is how he's going to go about things. But I'm gonna say this: if he doesn't, if he chooses not to use Jonathan Kuminga, the Rockets are going to win that series.
I will say this to you. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't have a player option. He's got a qualifying offer. And so I'm looking at the number, like it's saying here is $10.2 million he's scheduled to make next year. If I'm Jonathan Kuminga and Steve Kerr doesn't play me this summer, I want out. I don't think he should want to be a Golden State Warrior if that's going to happen. Let's go to the Rockets for a quick second. What's made them so good this year, and why do you give them such a chance of beating the Warriors in the series?
Well, one, I don't know who you voted for as your coach of the year, but I voted for Ime Udoka. This team
he was in my top three. He was in my top three. I voted for Bickerstaff for Detroit.
I'm not mad at that. The Rockets were in the 11th spot last year. All of a sudden, they're in the postseason, okay, because of the identity and culture that Ime Udoka brings to a ball club. That's number one. Number two, when we always talk about defensively and what's the most important position in today's game, I always tell you, S.A., what? The wing position. The wing position.
Right.
They are loaded defensively at the wing position, from Dylan Brooks to Tari Eason to Amen Thompson, who I believe, by the way, might be the best two-way player in the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, so they're going to They're going to get stops. And now you have Alfred Şengün, who, by the way, last game was busting Draymond Green ass, okay? The last game of the regular season where he had Draymond throwing elbows. He is a problem. So when I look at the championship experience that they have on the team in the veteran locker room, I'm looking at Fred VanVleet. I'm looking at Jeff Green. I'm saying to myself, they got the right mixture of youth, athleticism, and veteran leadership, along with an elite head coach. They're going to be prepared for the Golden State Warriors. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a physical-ass series. I see it going 6 or 7 games.
Jaylen Green, what are we to make of him at this stage and point in his career?
I think that he's auditioning, SA. Here's why.
Mm.
We've been hearing the rumors, right? We're hearing the whispers right now, right? Kevin Durant getting together with the Phoenix Suns to figure out what's next for him for us, finding a team for an offseason so that they could trade him. Okay, cool.
Right.
We hear the Knicks on their list. We hear the Mavs on their list. And we also hear the Rockets are on their list. The one concern that we all have a thing about when it comes down to the Rockets is who's going to be their closer.
That's right.
Jaylen Green, it's your time. SA, it's his time. Am I lying?
You're right, but only in this sense. Let's play with this for a second. With what they have, the young nucleus that they have, you already got quality veterans in Jeff Green and Fred VanVleet. Dylan Brooks is like mid-level veteran. Like, he ain't some old senior citizen cat. He's got plenty of time left in this league, but he's been around long enough, and he's a rough rider. And when you think about the culture that they have and what they bring to the table, do you compromise that for Kevin Durant?
I do. But that's why I said, SA, Jaylen Green is auditioning, right? Because when you look at the Rockets right now, what do they struggle to do? Make shots. They're one of the worst teams in the league for us making 3-point shots.
And we know that ain't KD's problem. Problem.
But what I'm saying is, if I'm Jaylen Green going into this postseason, I quiet the noise. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to show you I could take over a fourth quarter. I'm going to show you I could rough for a 20-point fourth quarter, put the ball in my hands and watch me go to work. Y'all talking about, I'm hearing these whispers about Kevin Durant. Now I'm going to silence that noise right now. And he has an opportunity right in front of him to do it. And so if he does and show that, and all of a sudden the Rockets beat Golden State and they get to the second round, and then all of a sudden we looking at this team and they're in the Western Conference Finals, then, yeah, you kill that Kevin Durant conversation. But if you get beat in the first round and it's because you don't have a closer, a guy that could go toe-to-toe with a Steph Curry in the fourth quarter when it's a possession-by-possession game, then, yeah, you might consider trading a Jaylen Green, a Jabari Smith, a Cam Whitmore, package it up to bring Kevin Durant in for next season.
Even if Kevin Durant is the kind of person that you might not think is great for your locker room, not because he's bad or cancerous or anything like that, but because he's a different kind of cat and just marches to the beat of his own drum. You don't worry about that with the nucleus and the culture that you're building in Houston?
You know why I don't worry about it? Because the one thing I know, Ime Udoka throw hands in the locker room with a player. Kevin Durant ain't gonna come pulling that shit he been pulling in Phoenix with Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka go stand on business. And I know Kevin Durant have enough respect for Ime Udoka that he's not going to bring that BS over there, SA. See, that's what I'm saying. Ime Udoka is the one that's going to get Kevin Durant in line.
I appreciate him having that kind of respect for a brother. Clearly, it didn't appear to exist for a Budenholzer or to a lesser degree, Frank Vogel. I'm not blaming Kevin Durant for that. I don't want to come across as saying that. We've heard news that Booker wasn't feeling Budenholzer either. But when you consider that Kevin Durant is there and that, you know what, Steve Nash got let go. When he was in Brooklyn. You got Kenny Atkinson that was let go the minute he arrived. You're looking at a situation in Phoenix where Vogel's gone now, Budenholzer's gone now. What are we to make of Kevin Durant in your estimation? You're his former teammate. You know him well. What do you make of it?
The same thing I said when we were on Countdown a couple months ago, when it was you, Bob Myers, Malika, and myself, the ABC crew, and I said, let's not ever put Kevin Durant in the conversation with Steph Curry and LeBron James. It's levels to this. And I'm not taking away from Kevin Durant greatness. In my eyes, I believe Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer of all time. But when it comes down to that separation, when you talk about leadership, when you talk about the professionalism, when you talk about the journey, the story, we cannot put him in the conversation with Steph and LeBron. I'm sorry, SA. Like, Steph and LeBron, those are different type of animals. Now, Steph Curry, we don't know him to be a vocal leader, but damn it, we know him to be a culture setter, right? And that's leading by example. I don't know. This is what I'm gonna ask you. Think about this for a second. I'm gonna ask you this question. Tell me why.
Okay.
Tell me why Ja Morant got the best out of Tyus Jones, who's with the Phoenix Suns. Donovan Mitchell got the best out of Royce O'Neal, who's also on the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul got the best out of Devin Booker, who's also on the Phoenix Suns. Damian Lillard at one point got the best out of Nurkic, who had problems in Phoenix, who was shipped to the Wizards. Katie, why are you not getting the best out of those guys if other superstars and other players around the league got maximized those same guys? It just don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Don't make sense.
Don't make sense to me either. Let me move on. Is it a foregone conclusion that you believe the Los Angeles Lakers are going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves
in 7 games? I'm not.
It's going to take 7.
Yeah, I said 6, but I'm going 7. I'm not confident. I'm not just saying that with my chest poked out that they're going to just beat the Timberwolves. No, it's going 7 games. Right. Anthony Edwards is like that. Anthony Edwards is waiting, and when I think about them, he is S.A. And when I think about Minnesota, think about this: the last part of the season, we saw a chemistry, and they started to develop a chemistry. And I'm talking about Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. Julius Randle has been playing some phenomenal basketball for them. Okay, now you move over to who are the Minnesota Timberwolves? They're a bunch of dogs defensively. So they got a defensive identity that when they're locked in, they're a problem. Okay, you mix in a nice. Go ahead.
But my problem is formidable as they are defensively. Luka's the dude that they have no answer for. We know what he's done to the Minnesota Timberwolves now. We know that.
I know, but think about this, right? I want you to think about this. It's a lot different now with Luka versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's why. Luka thrives at his best against teams when he have what? A legitimate lob threat. See, people didn't understand this last year. The reason that things were so wide open for Kyrie Irving and Luka in that Minnesota Timberwolves in that series last year in the Western Conference Finals was because of Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. Yes, right? It's a different type. Like, is Jackson Hayes gonna be that? Right? Like, I just can't see it. Although he's been playing some good basketball, I just don't see it happening. So now all of a sudden it's a Luka that's gonna have to solely be set on step back threes, because that's why he was wanting the live thread so bad on a consistent basis.
Houston or Golden State, who would have the better chance versus the Los Angeles Lakers, and why?
It would be Golden State, to be honest with you, because we know, you and I both know JJ Redick game plan defensively, and that was one of the things I was concerned about, is that he showed his hand a bit early in the season. When we watched him play Karl Anthony Towns, Jokic, what do the Lakers do? They pack the paint, take away driving gaps, and they force you to make shots, right? They force you to make shots from the three-point line. You can't do that shit against Golden State. You can't do that against Golden State. You're going to get exposed. So now it comes down to, do you have the perimeter defenders to chase around Steph Curry? Do you have the perimeter defenders to stop a Draymond Green? And the answer is no. I think Golden State causes matchup problems for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think if the Lakers play the Rockets, that's perfect for the Lakers, because the Rockets can't shoot the damn basketball.
Oklahoma City has been the creme de la creme all year long. They're the number 1 seed. We know what Shai Gilgeous is, what he brings to the table, and these brothers defend, and we got to give them some love and some credit. Who's the best matchup for them? Looking at the West and how things unfold, is there one particular team that you see beating them or at least pushing them to a 7-game series?
Oh, I'm scared of that second round. I believe the Clippers are going to win against the Denver Nuggets. And I'm scared of that second round.
So do I. I believe that as well. I think the Clippers are going to beat the Nuggets, but I'm not scared of the Clippers against OKC. I think that actually is a bad matchup for the Clippers. That's my personal opinion.
Tell me why.
Because when I look at OKC, right, don't get me wrong, the Clippers are going to be formidable for anybody the way Kawhi Leonard is looking right now if he continues to look this way and James Harden's doing what he's doing. I'm not knocking that. But you highlighted this best. Zubac has been very formidable, played very well this year, and deserves a lot of respect from everybody. Well, Hartenstein with Chet Holmgren, I mean, that's something formidable to help deal with that. Whereas Golden State is undersized against the Clippers, that's not going to be OKC's problems. And so now you got the ball players with the Clippers against these young lions on a come up in OKC that felt the sting of losing in the semifinals last year to the Dallas Mavericks and Luka. That's why I'm not feeling that way about them this go round. I think they'd be better, or they'd be even more ready. And I actually think somebody with the experience of a Luka or LeBron would be a greater threat to OKC rather than James Harden, along with Norman Powell and Kawhi Leonard, even though I know they some studs.
I'm with you, but here's the thing too that we don't highlight enough when it comes down to the Clippers. They have some damn dogs defensively on that perimeter. Okay, when you think about Chris Dunn, when you think about Derrick Jones Jr. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying that causes some problems because although Steph Curry somewhat had a good slash, he had a good solid game against the Clippers in that loss. Chris Dunn was hell on him. I was watching him fight over them screens. I was like, and Ty Lue actually called me, said he's one of his favorite players that he's ever coached because he wants to be that defensive stopper. I'm not saying that they're going to beat him. I'm just OKC. I still got OKC going to the finals. I'm just saying it scares me, to what I've been seeing from the Clippers. And we both know Kawhi healthy, he has the chance of being the best player in any series against anybody except for the Boston Celtics.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm going to always root for the LA teams come postseason time. That's where I want to be in June. So I don't give a damn whether it's the Lakers or the Clippers. It's one of them, I'm still in LA. I'm straight. Let me transition to the Eastern Conference because I saw Orlando beat the Hawks last night. I know Miami and Chicago about to go at each other with the play-in. I get all of that. Is there anybody we should be thinking about in the East outside of Boston and Cleveland?
Yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And I get it. People are saying no Damian Lillard, and I get all that. But has anybody watched Giannis Antetokounmpo the last part of the season? Stephen A. It's like he looked like the best player in the league. Like I was looking up 20 assists, 15 assists, dominating, and he was still getting his 30 and 12, but he was getting triple doubles. And I actually got Milwaukee picked to win that series against the Indiana Pacers solely because how dominant Giannis Antetokounmpo has been. And I'm looking at the others, Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis, and I'm looking at Brook Lopez, and I'm like, it's not going to be sweet. I know a lot of people leaning towards Indiana because of the day, but Giannis is on a mission. Giannis is going to lead this team. They're going to beat the Pacers in the first round.
See, I'm not sure about that without Dame. If Dame was there, I'll feel you. But without Dame, I just think I don't know if I trust that the other cats are going to be there to support Giannis. And that's my concern. And by the way, let's just go against your position for a second here and work with me on this level. If Giannis loses in the first round, do you think he's going to ask out of Milwaukee? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And if he do, he damn sure shouldn't want him to go to Miami. I'm always watching.
Right.
I've been watching First Take all week. That Miami, I love what Marcus Moore has been bringing to the table, but I totally disagree with going to Miami. Hell no, that's not the place for him to go. There's other options out there for him. I just don't see him asking. Why would he ask asking out from Milwaukee when Milwaukee has done everything that Giannis has asked them to do? Right? Giannis put pressure on him on them to trade Drew Holiday and bring in another superstar caliber player. They went out and they got Damian Lillard, right? Like they're always making moves. They're never waiting. So when you have an organization that is trying to do everything in their power to satisfy you, and Giannis, the city, he basically owns the city. Why would you leave? This is the same thing that I just don't get about the Denver Nuggets. Now they're making changes, but I've been preaching and preaching. When are they going to surround Jokic with the necessary pieces for him to go and contend? You don't just sit back and wait and say, we're going to keep running it back with this same group. Like, no, this offseason is going to be important for them as well.
Yeah, at least both organizations got a championship to show for it because both Giannis and Jokic have delivered the title. So at least they got that to show for it. Look, I got a couple of more questions to ask you, and I'll be right back. I don't want the audience to go anywhere, but I got a couple of questions that I got to ask you before I let you get on out of here. I'll be back with the one and only Kendrick Perkins after I pay these bills. All right, everybody, listen up. With all the big-time sports action that's happening each and every day, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of it all. That's why we've partnered with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. Choose from any of your favorite players, Luka Doncic, Jimmy Butler, and Zach LaVine, all in the same entry. Then sit back and watch. The list is absolutely endless. You can play PrizePicks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, PrizePicks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50. Just use promo code SAS and download PrizePicks right now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Big Perk, before I let you get on out of here, my New York Knicks is kind of hard, Big Perk. It's kind of hard because I went from them acquiring Karl Anthony Towns and being ecstatic, right, to being worried because they gave up entirely too damn much 5 first-round picks for unprotected for Mikal Bridges, to me watching Mikal Bridges complain about the overusage of the starters, to Josh Hart arguing during the game with Thibodeau, to going from the New York Knicks and fantasizing about them getting to the conference finals against Boston to almost assuredly knowing they're going home at the very latest in the second round because they got to play Boston, and wondering whether or not Tom Thibodeau is going to be here next year. Those are my thoughts about the New York Knicks. What are yours?
Tibbs, I love him, won a championship with him. He's my Mbutu brother for life. But his ass is on the hot seat. He got to get to the conference finals. It don't matter what we believe. If they could beat the Boston Celtics, they need to believe it, and they need to get it done. He has to get to the conference finals. They got to the second round last year. And like you just talked about, you can't go out and get Mikal Bridges and give up 5 first-round picks, go out and get Karl Anthony Towns, sign OG Anunoby, by the way, well worth it, to a $200+
shout out. No doubt. Worth it. Worth it.
Worth every penny.
212.
And go out there and lose again in the second round. No, it's on record. It's on record. The New York Knicks said they are building up to compete with the Celtics. Here you are. You're fully loaded. You're healthy. Mitchell Robinson is back. Jaylen Brunson is back. You better get to the conference finals. It don't matter if the world believes you can beat the Boston Celtics, because if you don't, it's not the players that are going to be moved, it's the coaches.
I wasn't completely open with you. I said I was worried about Boston. Yo, bro, I'm worried about them damn Pistons. And Pistons can play. Bickerstaff got them brothers, but I'm worried about Cade Cunningham. Even you've been raving about that brother. I can't dismiss the possibility that Detroit can beat them. I got my Knicks winning, but even then, I got the Knicks winning in 7, Perk. Why are you not that worried? Why are you not that worried?
That series not going past 6, let me tell you, they're going to, listen, the Pistons, successful season, most surprising team. I'm with you. Bickerstaff, hell of a job. Cade Cunningham, I voted him first team All-NBA on my ballot. He got voted first
Wow.
team All NBA on my ballot. We could discuss that another day. It's levels to this when it comes to the postseason. That scouting report gets this much right. They're going to trap Cade Cunningham. And you know another thing that's been concerning me? I'm watching a happy Detroit team right now. And you know, I follow a lot of those guys on social media and stuff like that. They're happy, raving about the season as they should be, right? They in the postseason. But I seen Malik Beast. I'm not knocking nobody what they're doing. He got a commercial that just came out. I just saw Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, drop a rap video. He just dropped a rap video.
Wow.
No. This not the time for that. If you're locked in, you don't have time for that type of shit right now going into the postseason.
Right.
Your phones need to be off. I'm ignoring family members, all of that. That's why I got the Knicks, just because the experience and Big Body Brunson is going to be the best player in that series.
Last question for you. You've been raving about Oklahoma City all year long. I've heard you say everything about them but one thing and one thing only, that they're going to win the title. You ain't never said that because of them damn Boston Celtics. Yeah. Now we hearing that Jaylen Brown taking shots to the knees. We don't know how much health, how healthy he's going to be. I'm talking about, I don't know if it's cortisone shot, whatever the hell it is, but I'm just saying he's getting knee treatment per se. You know, they are concerned about him being 100% for this postseason. You still feeling as strongly as you did about the Boston Celtics?
You damn right I am. Mm-hmm. Look, every single player on their team has leveled up another notch. And I'm not even Jason Tatum, right? Jason Tatum, I think, right, this is his moment. I think he's going out for blood, right? I think whether people agree with it or not, he feels disrespected. Everything that happened with him in the offseason, right? Cool. But Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser, old man Al Horford, SA is too many times I'm looking up and I see Al Horford then had 25 points. He's a year younger than me. Than me. So then I'm looking at Kristaps Porzingis. Did you see the last game against the New York Knicks that they played when they went to overtime?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
How did Kristaps Porzingis look?
Don't remind me. Pulling up from 40.
I hate to bring up old stuff. The reason I brought him up, and I'm going to end on this. You remember Jason Tatum was on record, and they asked him last year about like him and Kristaps Porzingis, who would he compare to, like their comparison as a duo. And he said who? Kobe and Paul Gasol. So although and I brought that up because although Jaylen Brown may be battling a little injury, a little pain in his knee, Kristaps Porzingis still could elevate and be that second option, which I believe he can be for the Boston Celtics, which makes them still dangerous and still the favorite in my eyes.
Got you. You're not giving Cleveland any chance. Is Cleveland been the best record in the Eastern Conference all year long? No chance for Cleveland.
I'm giving them a chance to make it to the conference finals. I'm what I've been leaning on. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland got to show me defensively. They got to show me because they're going to get picked on. And just like Steph Curry, it took Steph Curry. Think about this and think about this. It took Steph Curry his fourth championship for him actually to buckle down and defend, like put on muscle. And when they had that series against the Celtics, they were trying to exploit Steph. They were trying to post up Al Horford on them. Steph Curry down there holding his damn ground, not giving up, getting stops. And I was like, oh, yeah, he won it. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland got that in them. And you're going to have that in you because every single person on the Boston Celtics in the starting five and then the six, including Al Horford, could do what they say. Could take your ass to that low block.
No doubt. Big Perk. Love you. Appreciate you, bro. I'll see you in a few hours, my man. For NBA Countdown, man. We'll talk later.
Okay, later, brother.
No doubt. One and only. Big Perk. Kendrick Perkins. Man, I love that brother. So he's a true friend, and I love working with him. Brother smart as hell, knows his basketball. Like he said, he talks slow, but he's smart as hell. It is the truth. That's the best thing he's ever said about himself. Absolutely true. Can't wait to start covering these playoffs with that brother. Make no mistake about it, NBA Countdown. Me and my man Big Perk together. We love it. We absolutely love it.
Once a year, sneakerheads come together for the largest convention this side of the Hudson River.
The Sneakerhead Gala.
I go by the name of Mustard. Who's ready to party? Please welcome CP3, Chris Paul.
Congratulations to our winner.
I got the ticket. I won. These shoes, they're gonna change everything. Stay right here.
Ah, a foot. He put his foot inside me. Ugh.
I like him.
My shoes.
We're being kicked now.
Where's the other one?
I've got to find that shoe. I'm too pretty to die.
Looks to me like you could use my street smarts.
With you as my guide, nothing can go wrong. Ah, Pebble, oh, I'm hit. I have to find my sister.
How we gonna find one sneaker in a city as big as New York?
Oh, I'll show you where to go, bro.
You and your mama?
Oh, my mom was a Louboutin.
Yeah, your mama was from Payless.
I don't belong here. So what's the best way out of this prison?
Technically, it's not possible.
Okay.
We need to go uptown ASAP.
As soon as possible? We can't go that slow.
Wait, what? I think I'm gonna be sick.
The collector is into some deep dirt.
Stop!
We're meant to strive, to achieve. Maybe I can make a difference to one kid. I've got a brother to find and a game to play.
This is amazing! Here comes the drop!
Do you trust me?
0.0%! Yeah!
Sneaks don't talk round here. We converse.
My next guest is a 6-time Emmy Award-winning actor, known for memorable roles in the films like What's Love Got to Do with It, The Matrix. Remember ABC's Blackish? The man's been here before. He's one of the greatest actors in American history as far as I'm concerned, and it is an honor and a privilege to have him back. The one and only Laurence Fishburne is on the show right now. What's going on, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
Steven, what's happening, baby?
Listen, I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to talk to you about Sneaks in a second. But I mean, I'm just looking at you. You've been doing a lot of work, man. You're supposed to be climbing up there in age. You're supposed to be inching towards retirement. I mean, you working more than most people, Laurence. I mean, what's going on, man? What's up?
Hey, somebody got to pay for the retirement, baby.
Got bills to pay, right? You got the bills to pay.
Retirement is expensive.
That's right. I definitely get you. I understand that loud and clear. Let's get to your new project, all right? Sneaks, it's an animated sports comedy you are producing. What's it all about? Talk to me about it.
Sneaks is an animated thing that we did with a lot of really talented people, Martin Lawrence, Anthony Mackie, and it's about a pair of sneakers. And the sneakers come alive and talk. It's the journey of a pair of sneakers, A24s that are brother and sister, and they get separated. They've been raffled off at a gala at the Guggenheim in New York, and a young kid wins them, and the sneakers get separated, and a lot of chaos ensues. But it's a really funny buddy movie about these two sneakers: an old head, an old school sneaker, and a brand new sneaker who's like the hotness that everybody wants. And an odyssey of them trying to get back to each other throughout New York City. It's great.
Well, Well, listen. Let me remind somebody the name. You just gave a couple of Martin Lawrence, Anthony Mackie, Macy Gray's in there, Chloe Bailey's there, Ella May is there, Quavo, Rico Rodriguez, Keith David, even the one and only CP3, Chris Paul. That was a great pickup, no question.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah,
well,
it's crazy.
So, was this your idea? Was this your idea, or did somebody?
No. But I'm one of the producers. I was brought on board. My partner and I, Helen Sugland at Cinema Gypsy, she brought the piece to me, and she really believed in it. And I was like, yeah, this is really kind of interesting. We haven't seen this before. Like, we've seen talking airplanes and talking cars, but we ain't seen talking sneaks.
I've heard a lot of things I've heard a lot about you throughout the years, but the one thing I've never heard is that you were a big sports fan. So I'm wondering, what was it about this particular idea that appealed to you so much? Because I know that you're forward thinking and you're a visionary. What was it about this idea that appealed to you so much?
Although I'm not a sports fan, I grew up in New York, in the 60s and the 70s. And I'm not even a sneaker head, but I get it. Like, I get sneaker culture, even as somebody who doesn't really participate in it in that way. I used to have friends who would see me, and when they would see me wearing sneakers, they'd be surprised, because for a long time I just didn't wear them, and that wasn't like a conscious choice. But there is something about sneaker culture that I do understand and that I do connect with. I've always been a big animation fan, so anything animated always has my interest.
And why have you been a big animation fan? I am one too, but I'd like to know, what is it about it that appeals to you? Somebody as star-studded as you are, as accomplished as you are. What is it about animation that does it for you?
The thing about animation is, growing up, listening to, there's one actor in particular who's probably one of the greatest voice actors of all time, and that was the late, great Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc voiced Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Foghorn Leghorn and Porky Pig and Martin the Martian, and I can keep going. So just as an actor, he had a kind of skill and versatility that I always aspired to. But also, just as an actor, being able to create characters with your voice and work with, illustrations, work with artists, renderings of characters, that's just fun for me.
Laurence, as you reflect on your career and the illustrious career that you've had, if you had to really, really sit down and think about anything that you wish you would have done, something that might be on your bucket list, something that you missed out on. I can't imagine that you haven't done, because it seems like you've done every damn thing. But is there something that you haven't done in your career that you wish you had done? Project, anything like that?
There's more than one thing on my career that I wish that I have done that I haven't done, but I try not to dwell on things that I haven't done. I don't think that's a smart thing to do. I think it's much healthier to look forward and try to, get to do some of those things, or do a version of those things that, perhaps you missed.
That's where I'm going. I asked the question wrong, because I'm thinking something that you haven't done that's you still in line to do. Like, it ain't finished. Like, you just haven't done it yet, but you really want to do it.
There's a lot of stuff I haven't done that I would like to do, that I will get to do. And I think it's also very important for me to, do the work that I need to do before I start talking about it. So if I want to manifest something, I got to get into the visualization of it,
Gotcha.
And this isn't the platform for that. This isn't the space for that.
Got you.
Totally
understand. I want to get into something else too, because
yes, there's a lot of things that I want to do, that I hope to do, that I envision myself doing, and I'm working towards doing. Yes.
Totally understand. I want to get into a new project, one of your new projects. Actually, it's not a new project. I wanted to discuss your recent appearance on the PBS show, because I was reading something about that. Finding Your Roots, hosted by Henry Louis Gates. And I understand it was very, very revealing as it pertained to you. You like talking about that for a second? Tell me what that was about for you and what that experience was like for you. Please,
Yeah,
go
it was-
ahead.
it-
What
it-
what
it
was
was,
that about? What happened?
It's a huge gift. I mean, I basically was, I got enough information vis-a-vis DNA to actually find out who my biological father was. As it turns out, Mr. Fishburne was not my biological father, although he was my dad. And he was
Right.
a wonderful dad, He showed up for me in ways that were important. And he gave me a great name, Mr. Fishburne. And I'm grateful to him and his memory. But at the same time, I just discovered that my biological father was a gentleman named William Siegel Bohannon, who was born and raised in the city of Chicago. And he passed away, sadly, in 2017 before I was able to get to meet him. But yeah, it was a huge gift because I have a whole new family. I have siblings I did not know I had, and other people in my lineage that I did not know about. So.
And what's that? And what's that like when you walk up to people and they come up to you and suddenly they're family?
Yeah,
they're
this
your
is not
blood.
new.
I mean, what is that like?
Listen, Stephen, the reality of it in terms of, our culture and our history as people of color in this country, this is not new stuff.
Yeah.
This is not new.
Yeah. That's true.
The history of our families and our family histories is as complicated as this country. So it's not new.
Yeah.
It's just something that happened to me, and I'm not the first, won't be the last. And I'm just grateful that I got a chance, at this, moment in my life, shall we call it the third act of my life or whatever it is, to meet people who are related to me and who love and embrace me just based on that alone. It's beautiful.
I feel you. I just think about how beautiful that is and the way that you describe it, and it almost like gives you a new lease on life. That's how I would take it anyway, in a very, very positive way, of course. That's how I look at it, and no question about it. So I'm happy for you about it. Let me get back to the business of you from the standpoint of this spy thriller. It's already out, called The Amateur, starring alongside Rami Malek.
Yeah.
Talk about the Amateur. Talk about that film for a second and what your role in that is.
Yeah, so it's me and Rami Malek. Rami Malek plays a CIA analyst whose wife gets killed in a hostage type situation. He wants to seek vengeance. He goes to the people at the CIA and says, "You got to train me for being a field operative." So they have me as a colonel who comes in to train him. And I immediately am struck by how inept I think he will be at field operations. It's a really wonderful little movie that I did with Rami, who I adore. He's so talented. He's so interesting and so smart, and he's one of the producers. And we think the movie's, we think the movie's great, and a lot of people seem to think the same thing. So
I got you. Well, listen, I got to let you go. I got to run myself. I can't thank you enough for giving me some time to talk to you. It's always wonderful to talk to you. I'm a huge fan, as I have been for decades, with your wonderful work, man. It's an honor and a privilege to talk to you. I really mean it.
I'm coming to New York soon to do something, and I want you to come see me. I'll let you know about it.
Please let me know about it. Absolutely.
I will, brother.
You take it easy, all right? The one and only Laurence Fishburne. My man. God bless.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Take care. All the best. My thanks to the great Laurence Fishburne. Sneaks is in theaters nationwide April 18th, and The Amateur is out now, as we just heard us say. So be sure to check out both of them, please. That's Laurence Fishburne. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I ain't even bring up Mission Impossible 3, because that brother was good in that movie. Great in that movie, I always watch Laurence Fishburne movies. I'm just letting y'all know. I ain't faking the funk. That brother's real. He's something special. Now, Steve Bannon, I'm not going to be some leftist constantly, just drilling in this point. But you do know everyone says, the election wasn't stolen, that you lost fair and square in 2020. The inordinate amount of lawsuits that were thrown out there, even the courts dismissed it, etc. Yet guys like yourself and others continue to say the election was stolen when Others would argue that the facts say otherwise. Do you ever think about letting that go, particularly now that the man is back in office as the 47th president, and to avoid spewing such rhetoric, knowing that it just serves to continue to divide the country? What about that notion?
I actually think it brings the country together. Stephen A., the other day, President Trump signed an executive order about Krebs, about a guy that he appointed that was at DHS that said it's the most secure, cyber-secured election in history. He actually initiated an investigation. There's Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat, right, head of DNI, director of national intelligence, said that they now have a beginning of proof that the machines can be hacked. And I'm not a machine guy. I say they stole it the old-fashioned way, particularly in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania with mail-in ballots. But over 70% of the Republican Party believes the 2020 election was stolen. So I think right now of all Americans, I think it's about 43 to 44, almost 45%. So a vast minority of your fellow countrymen believe that the 2020 election was stolen. And then a whole raft of people think there was something up. I have been adamant from day one. We have to have a congressional investigation, open hearings about get to the bottom of 2020, and let the cards fall where they may. But it's not over.